Good evening, everyone. Welcome. It's a very special evening and a special way for us to begin 2019 and to begin our 2019 program season at the Korea Society with Haemin Sunim. And as you know, he's a prolific spiritual leader, author, guide, and so we're delighted to have him here and have him bless all of us and for all of us to share blessings for him as we start this year. We would like to invite you back to the Korea Society as well for our members' lunar celebration on the 31st and encourage you to consider membership, and our representatives are at the back of the room here at the end. But let me welcome to the stage our president, Tom Byrne, and he'd like to say a few words of welcome, and then we'll turn it over to Haemin Sunim.
Thanks, Steve, and thank you, Haemin Sunim, for showing up here tonight. So this is the first, what year is this? First program of 2019. So welcome all. We have a full house here, and we're so glad that you're expressing your interest in things Korean. And as Stephen said, we would encourage you to consider membership for those who aren't members. Very important to get our membership numbers up. And I hope you enjoy the program. So thank you for coming tonight.
And so by way of introduction, there's this wonderful new book, came out in its English translation on December 24th. And so we're hoping that you have a chance, if you haven't already, to read it in the very wise and warm and insightful words of Haemin Sunim. And that follows on his book, The Things You Can See Only When You Slow Down. And together they have sold millions of copies. He has millions of followers on Facebook and Twitter, sure of which many of us are. And he is an individual who, though born in Korea, was also educated in the United States, and so represents the best of our relationships, our peoples, our exchange. And so to have such a wise mentor with us is indeed a pleasure. So Haemin Sunim, thank you for taking the time to be with us. It was wonderful at MoMA yesterday. Some of you may have been there for the morning meditation. And Haemin Sunim will be with our friends at the Rubin Museum in a week's time. But thank you for taking the time to be with us here at the Korea Society.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on Thursday night. Before we start, maybe we can just relax our body a little bit. So if you're holding onto your back, maybe you can leave it on the floor, and then can you do this? Yeah, and then the other way around. Yeah, and can you also go like that? Yeah, and then left, right, left, right, and then you shake, and then let go. Yeah, thank you. And let's take a 3 deep breath. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I want you to close your eyes and see if you can scan your body from the top of your head to the bottom of your feet. Scan it and see if there's any area that is still tensed up, that needs a little bit of love and care. It can be your shoulder, it can be your neck, it can be your back or your thigh or your hands, whatever it is. Locate one specific area that requires some of your love and attentions, the area that is still a little bit tense. And now I want you to open your eyes and do this. And then put both of your hands to that area, and then give the energy of love, and then relax whichever the area is. Yeah, it can be your eyes, and then let's do one more time, really do it hard. And then once it gets really warm, then you can massage the area. Okay. Good, good. So are you guys a little more relaxed now? Yeah? Yeah, okay, great. Thank you so much for coming. I was gonna start out by talking about my master, my teacher in Japan, New York. It's not too far from here. When I first met him, back in 1999, um, he was he was a good teacher. He was a very nice guy. A lot to learn from. However, I noticed that he's coming from a particular province in Korea that is known for hot temper. You know what I mean? He's from Gyeongsangdo, it's southeast, province. Whereas I was born and raised in Chungcheongdo, which is in the middle, which is known for easygoing, known for relaxed manner, and then always, so much slow. So whenever my master asked me to do this, do that, my response was so much slow. I don't respond quickly. I don't explain to him, fully. So sometimes he gets, short temper, angry. He would say that, oh, how come you're not doing this? How come you're not doing that? So at that time, I was very perplexed because how come Buddhist monk can be that full of anger? My master is worse than just regular person. So I was like thinking, oh, maybe I should change my master. This is not good. But because he's gonna be my master forever. You know what I mean? So I was like really, in doubt at that moment. And then I was sent to Korea to receive training. So I was able to make friends with a whole bunch of other monks. And then one of the monks, he and I, we became really close friends. And one time he invited me to his own temple. So I went to his temple. And then I was able to meet his own master. And then his master was do you know there's a very famous, Korean monk named Sunim? And he's very well known and highly respected. And he really resembled, Sunim. And I was so jealous, Oh my gosh, if I have a master just like, his master, I could learn so much from him. I'll be so happy, How come I have such a terrible master, So I was like, like that, for a while. And then, so I was so envious. So I think we had dinner together with, his own master, and then it was such a pleasant. I had such a wonderful conversations about Buddhist teachers and all of that. And then, time passes. So let's say 10 years later, I was able to meet my friend, monk, accidentally, out on the street because I was spending most of my time here in the U.S. I didn't get to see him, for a long time. And so I just bumped into him in Seoul, downtown Seoul. So I was very surprised and very happy to see him. And so I asked him, oh, hi, how are you? How have you been? And then how's your master who resemble, Popjung Seni? And then he goes, well, I stopped talking to my master. That's what he said. I cut off. I no longer, have any kind of association with my master. And I was very, very shocked. And I said, how come? Because your master is almost perfect, how come you are, not following him? And then he goes, imagine that his behavior is almost perfect. Imagine what kind of behavior he would demand from his own disciple. Of course, he would demand nothing short of what? Perfect, behavior, right? So because he always told me that, oh, you are doing this wrong, you are doing that wrong. He was constantly being, told by his own teacher that you are doing this wrong, you're doing that wrong. So at one time, he was really hurt. So he decided to leave, his master. So, and then at that point, I realized that my master, my own master, is actually wonderful, because he's far from being perfect, he can forgive people very, very easily. He can forgive all kinds of behavior. Especially some of the monks. They come to the U.S. after having some kind of scandal in Korea. And and then he say, "Oh, it's okay. We are human beings. We all make mistakes. No problem. So something like that. So, and then because he's also hot temper, and there is also good side, positive side to it. That is, he does not hold any grudges. He let go of he very easily he can forget what just happened next day usually. So he could just tell me, "Oh, you did this wrong, whatever," and then the next day completely erase that memory. So, and at the same time, in Korean, I would say he has a lot of 잔정. What is 잔정 in English? A lot of very loving nature, but not outwardly, but in a very intimate setting. So oftentimes he would call me and give me a lot of pocket monies. So, so especially after he reprimand me. So, so I would say that because he's not perfect, he was able to. He still is. Our temple has 7 monks and nuns living together. 2 of them is Buddhist nuns. It is very, very unusual. Overseas Buddhist temple having so many monastic living together. It is precisely because my monk, my master, is imperfect. You see what I mean? So the reason why I'm bring this up is because I just wanted to say that even if you are even if you see yourself having a lot of imperfections, actually there is a positive side. If you can just think about it deeply. In Korea right now, I've been running. I established this school called the School of Broken Heart. In Korean, it's called 마음치유학교 in Seoul and Insadong, and also I have another center school in Busan. So there are 2. And then when I just started 4 years ago, I didn't have any program. I didn't have a whole lot of teachers, but slowly I was able to make acquaintance with different kind of psychotherapist teachers, different kind of Buddhist meditation teachers. So now we have about 50 teachers. We are working together. However, some of them, I realized they are not as enthusiastic, not as hardworking. In fact, I felt some of them is actually lazy. So like the reason why I can say is because I told them, "Oh, so we're going to have a meeting, special staff meeting. So all of your teachers, you guys should come and whatever." But a couple of teachers, they're always late, and then they always whenever we ask something, "Oh, you should submit your future courses by this due date," but they always return much later, something like that. So I was getting a little bit annoyed, and a little bit even angry. How come they are not as enthusiastic? How come they are not working hard just like myself? And then I realized that I was getting like this. Whenever I think about them, I was getting angry. So I said, "Oh, I better treat this problem." So I went and met my teacher. I have another very close Buddhist teacher in Seoul, and then I really respect him. He's much older than me, and but he's really wise and very loving, but he also is very much like a New Yorker. That is, he's a straight talker. He will just tell you, what it is. He's not gonna beat around the bushes. So I told him what's happening. So I have a wonderful teachers in general. However, a couple of them are not very good. They're always late. They don't do whatever we ask them to do. Blah blah blah. And then after listening to my complaint, basically he told me that something like this. So can you repeat after me? Haemin 스님. Haemin 스님. because he is, if he wasn't lazy, if he wasn't lazy, he wouldn't have work for you. Does that make sense? In English? Oh, anyway, in Korean, I know exactly what to say, but it's very hard to translate into English. Anyway, so basically what it means is that he said that precisely because he's not as hardworking like you, yeah, he's working under you, you know? Otherwise, he would have started his own center. Is it true or not? I realize this is true, precisely because he's not as hardworking, he hasn't started his own center, and he, has decided to work together, in my own center. So there's always a flip side, there's always positive side or always a negative side. So it is up to us to decide which side we want to look at. One time in Seoul, I remember I was giving a large public talk, and then I usually welcome any kind of questions. And then this lady in her 50s, I would say, and she asked me this question. Oh, Haemin Sunim, I have all these problems with my husband, and he is very stubborn, and he always, whenever I speak something, I was saying something, but in the middle of my conversation, my talking, he would just cut, and then he would just say whatever he wanted to say, and that he never ever admits that he can be wrong. He's very stubborn and very hard to communicate. I don't know what to do. That's what she told me. So I was looking at her, and then I realized that I'm sure that she has lived with her husband more than a couple of years, because she was in her 50s. So I asked, how many years have you been together? And she said over 25 years. So if she was living with him over 25 years, we know there is some negative aspect, that is, he doesn't listen to her. But I asked her, is there any kind of positive aspect? Can you see, any of the, positive character, of your husband? And then she was like really thinking hard, for 30 minutes. 30 seconds, 30 seconds. And then she said that, maybe she brings $10,000 per month. That's what she said. She brings 1,000만 won per month, You see what I mean? Yeah. Oh, maybe it's not as funny in English. Anyway, so in Korean, it's actually very, very funny, because you completely, so what it means is that, because he's bringing a lot of money, it also means that he has a high position in his job, right? And when you are in a high position, what do? You tell other people what to do, right? And when you are, telling other people what to do, that habit sometimes, unfortunately, carries over to your, family life. So sometimes that kind of thing can happen. So what I'm trying to say is, there is always, good side and bad sides, and it is always up to us to choose which side we want to look at. So whichever side we pay more attention to, this side will have more power. You see what I mean? So so that is like one of the first lessons that I wanted to impart. And then another thing about imperfection, besides having negative and positive side, and then we can always look at positive side as well. And that is, oftentimes, what you see in persons' imperfect things, it is often caused by the element beyond your control. So we easily blame somebody. However, if you really pay attention to it, you will realize that that particular imperfect elements of that person actually wasn't necessarily caused by himself or herself. Let me give you an example. I heard this very interesting story, that is, there was a female professor in her 50s, and she remember having such a hard time with her mother ever since she was very, very young, she didn't get along with her mother. And then she tried to remember, how come I'm not getting along with my mom? And then she remembered when she was very young, she went outside and play, and then she came back, and then her mom said, well, you should wash yourself. I filled up the, bathtub. Why don't you go inside and then wash yourself? Something like that. And then so she got into the bathtub, and then and she was waiting for her mom to come and then help her bathe, help her wash her, But the she, as a baby, as a child, she was waiting and waiting and waiting, and yet her mom never appeared. So the water became lukewarm, not as warm. At that time, she just, splashed herself, and then she got out of her bathtub. And then at that moment, she thought to herself, my mom is selfish. My mom is self-centered. She is uncaring. That was the thought, she had, and she really believed that thought. So because of that particular thought, while growing up, she had she all constantly fought, with her mother. And so, especially when she was a teenager, she fought. And then now she's in her 50, and her mom is in her 80s. The thing is, her mom recently was diagnosed with cancer. So there has to be somebody who can take care of her. But unfortunately, among the siblings, she was the one who could actually, take care of her, because she lived close to her, and she had some time because she was professor, So she would often drive to her mom's home, and then, see if there is anything she can, help her. So one time, one of the caretakers' role was to help the patients, help her mom bathe. So she as a daughter, she finally she filled the bathtub and then invite her mom to go inside, and then she would lovingly put the soap, and then she would gently wash her body, something like that. And then after 2-3 minutes later, her mom start to cry. She had tears. So the professor, she was very surprised, and Mom, what happened? Like did the soap got into your eyes? Why are you crying? And then her mom said, oh dear, in my whole life, nobody ever helped me bathe. Nobody ever helped me, wash my body. At that moment, she realized that, not even my mom's mom, grandmother, took good care of her, when she was very young. Up until, that moment, she thought that my mom is selfish by her nature. But however, if you just look at it, deeply, you realize that her self-centered nature actually was passed down, from her mother, and it is because of the very difficult situation they were in. She had that, problem. So oftentimes we blame somebody, thinking that, oh, you have this imperfect aspect, you have this problem, it's your fault. However, oftentimes that person's imperfect aspect is caused by the element which is beyond their control. You see what I mean? Yeah, so we have to, if we think about it, we can learn to forgive, those people, precisely because they are unhappy. They have been very unhappy. They are harming other people. They are trying to, they are making other people, equally unhappy. If they were very, very happy, what do you think? Of course, they would want everybody else also happy. So one of the practice that I do in subway, New York subway, that is, on my way here, it was really, really packed, so I cannot I have to be stuck there at least 7-8 minutes, right? And so you have an options, rather than just being annoyed. You can just look around within the subway and bless them. That's what I do. May you be happy, may you be healthy, may you be peaceful. May you be protected. So if you do that, if you really, really do that, you realize that you begin to care about other people. And there is a sense of, connections, and then there is some kind of peacefulness, within you. And then you become happier. As you bless other people to be happy, you become happy. You see what I mean? Yeah, so I want you to practice, while you are returning to your own apartment, in your subway, or while you're walking home, see if you can bless other people. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be peaceful. May you be protected. You see? And then you'll realize that time passes very, very quickly, in the jam-packed subway. Thank you.
We thank you for taking the time here today, and we hope you consider the Korea Society a home when you're here in New York. We're grateful to all of you for taking the time this evening and beginning your new year with us. We do hope to see you back. And again, our friends, our colleagues in the back of the room have membership information, or if you have questions about the upcoming events here at the Korea Society. So thank you for your time, and please see us at koreasociety.org. I'd lastly like to thank a few other people involved here. The group from Penguin, thank you for this book, for fine editing, and for all of the great publications. I'd encourage you to see Penguin's sites or see them on social media, and certainly pick up their releases. And we're hoping to do one or two other events with Penguin over the course of this year. And I'd like to thank Jonathan Corrado and the team here at the Korea Society, Jahi and Angela, Chloe and Bomi, who have done a lot of great work here tonight, our intern volunteers, to make this all happen logistically. We do have beverages for you here in the galley in the kitchen, which will slide open in just a moment. And there are copies of the book. I think we have only 4 left. So we've sold almost all the copies. But if you'd like to pick up a copy here tonight, if you don't have it with you already or haven't purchased it, please see our team at the back. And Haemin, Sunim, if you'd like to sign some copies over here,
I'd love to.
We have a lot of people. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And again, we're so grateful. Happy New Year.